Hello everyone and welcome to today's debate. I am Jayonis, your moderator for this discussion. Today we have 6 participants who will be sharing their thoughts on various critical decisions made during the challenging times of the COVID-19 pandemic. Let's get started by introducing each member of our group. We have Nur Rama, Nur Haifa Sharina, Jennifer Indomala, Muhammad Alif Shazwan, Anusha Lechmi, Nur Ain Shakira, and of course, I am Jayamis. Each participant will be discussing different aspects of the decisions made during the pandemic. Now, let's dive into our first issue. The first issue is the Indian government's declaration of victory against COVID-19. To kick off our discussion, I will briefly share my opinion on the decision by the Indian government to declare victory against COVID-19 despite uncertainties. I believe Indian government's premature COVID-19 victory claim, driven by election politics, faced backlash amid a severe second wave, state healthcare and ethical concerns, revealing the challenge of balancing public health with political interest. Do you agree with me, Nurama?
I understand your concern, but I strongly disagree with the Indian government decision to declare victory against COVID-19. While it's true that India has made significant progress in controlling the virus, but the situation is far from over. The surge in cases and the shortage of medical resources have exposed the flaw in the government strategy. By claiming victory, the government has sent a false sense of security to the people, leading to complacency and a lack of adherence to safety protocols. This has resulted in a further spread of the virus and a higher number of deaths. I understand that the Indian government has taken some steps to combat COVID-19, but they have been inadequate to deal with the scale of the crisis. The shortage of oxygen and hospital beds has left many patients struggling for their survival. The government response has been criticized by being slow and ineffective, leading to a loss of trust among people. Moreover, there have been allegations of corruption and mismanagement in the distribution of vaccine and medical resources. These issues have undermined the credibility of the government's claims to the victory against COVID-19. While it's true that India has performed better than some other countries in terms of mortality rates, this doesn't mean that we should ignore the current crisis. Moreover, they are concerned about vaccine hesitancy and misinformation spreading on social media. Therefore, it's crucial for the Indian government to take a more proactive approach toward managing COVID-19 and communicating effectively with the public about the strategy.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts on this matter. Now let's move on to our next ethical issue. The next issue is Indian citizens and religious groups push for easing lockdown restrictions. I'd like to hear your thoughts on the decisions made by the Indian citizens and religious groups to push for the ease of lockdown restrictions. Nur Ain Shakira, can you share your opinion?
Thank you, moderator. The ethical issue involving religious group desire to hold festival during the COVID-19 outbreaks and Indian people request for easing of lockdown regulations are allowed. Here are 6 factors to think about, which are public health and economy, health risk and safety, responsibility of religious institutions, equity and vulnerable populations, government role in decision making and balancing individual rights and collective well-being. The first point is public health and economic. Concern about the citizen expect to get back to work and the potential economic effect of continued lockdown are legit. Many people make their living from small companies or daily salary, and extent lack of economy activity can result in serious financial effect. But comparing these financial factors against possible health dangers to the general public present an ethical dilemma. Protecting the health and safety of the populace at large should come first, even while economic stability is important.
Well stated, Nur Ain Shakira. Now on to our third issue. The third issue is Indian government's decision to ban vaccine export. Let's discuss the decision by the Indian government to ban the export of vaccines to other countries. What's your viewpoint from this, Anusha Lakshmi?
For this opportunity. In my point of view, I would agree to the Indian government's decision to ban the export of vaccines to the other countries when there is a shortage of vaccines for the local usage. This prioritizes for the local needs. This is because government's foremost duty is to protect its citizens, and in the face of a public health crisis such as pandemic, ensuring access to vaccines for the local population takes precedence. By implementing export bans or restriction, the government aims to address the urgent health concerns within its borders, mitigate the impact of the disease, and ultimately protect the lives of its residents. Moreover, my second point is the public health responsibility. Governments have a duty to protect the health of their citizens, and during a pandemic, this responsibility is heightened. Vaccination is a key tool preventing the prevent of the virus, reducing the severity of illness, and ultimately saving lives. In summary, this statement underscores the crucial role of governments in safeguarding public health, especially during a pandemic, and highlights the importance of targeted action, such as local vaccine distribution, to fulfill their responsibility. Public health measures, including vaccination campaigns, are essential tools for the governments to fulfill their duty to protect the citizens from the health impacts of contagious diseases.
Great insights. Now let's move on to the next issue. Our next ethical issues revolve around the decisions made by vaccine manufacturers to breach contracts. What are your thoughts on this, Muhammad Alif Shazwan?
Okay, thank you to moderator for the opportunity to speak up. My name is Muhammad Alif Shazwan. So for this issue, the decision by vaccine manufacturer to breach the contract that they have entered into as installed by government of India. In this context, I believe the Indian government has acted properly. I believe it is for various reasons. Shall I explain later in this discussion? I have included a few points to back up my support for this Indian move. Prioritizing public health is my first point. The act of breaching the contract that the Indian government has signed is to prioritize public health. In the pandemic crisis, it is vital to accept responsibility for the situation in India and to protect Indian health. Indians' action prioritize the health of its own people over international actors. My second point is the government responsibility to its citizens. There is no question that as a government, they must prioritize their own citizens. What good is government if its own citizens suffer? As a result, it is impossible to deny that the government of India action are justified in light of the crisis that is impacting India. My final point is legal compliance with government directive. The production of vaccine has to comply to the instruction and rules established by the Indian government. The steps performed are in line with government objective. The main thing is to follow the Indian government direction since they are acting in response to the problem. So based on the point below, I am agree with move that has Indian government take in facing the crisis. Thank you.
Excellent perspective. Now let's delve into our fifth issue. The fifth issue is other countries banning raw material exports to India. We are now discussing the decisions made by other countries to ban the export of raw materials to India. Personally, how do you feel about it, Nurhaifa Shadina?
Thank you to the moderator. My name is Nurhaifa Shadina binti Abdul Halim. So for this issue, the government banned the exportation because they want to focus on giving vaccine to the people of their country who need them more as a result of the increasing epidemic of the disease. This also gives the government a dilemma because the people and international relations are also very important to them. When this happened, various parties from foreign countries decided to also ban the export of raw materials to produce vaccines into India. This method, to some extent, will give a bad effect to both countries. The export restriction can have an economic impact on the receiving and sending countries. The recipient country may face economic difficulties due to production delays and increased costs, while the sending country may experience economic consequences due to trade restriction. And also, delays in vaccine production or reduced vaccine availability can prolong the duration of a pandemic, which in turn can cause a decrease in overall economic productivity. Restriction on mobility and a decrease in consumer confidence can also have a negative impact. So, in order to maintain diplomatic relations with other countries, each country needs to understand the difficulties experienced by other countries and also be able to help each other to prevent disease epidemic that hit the world. Various adverse effect occurs when a country is selfish without considering other countries. And I don't think that the decision made by the other countries to ban export raw material to India is a good ethic.
Yes, I am agree with Haifa that. Furthermore, the people of the country itself start agreeing about why it is necessary to export more vaccine to foreign countries when the country itself is in trouble and the epidemic is increasing. India's own population with 1.4 billion people, so the vaccine might be not enough to their own country. So, in my opinion, I agree with Haifa and the step that taken by government are reasonable according to the situation.
Well articulated, everyone. Now let's move on to our final issue. For our last ethical issue, let's explore what the ethical approach would be if a similar situation occurred in Malaysia. What's your take on, Jennifer?
The decision to export vaccines under diplomatic business agreements, despite facing a vaccine shortage domestically, raises ethical questions. In case Malaysia, if similar situation will occur, it would be important for the government to prioritize transparency, honesty in its communication with the public, clear and accurate information about the state of the pandemic, and the government's action is crucial in gaining public and citizens' trust and support. Furthermore, decisions regarding lockdown rules, vaccine distribution, and international agreements should be made based on experts' advice and scientific evidence while considering the needs and well-being of the Malaysian population. Balancing economic recovery and public health in situations like these can be very challenging, but there are few ethical considerations that can guide decision making.
Thank you all for your valuable contributions to today's debate. We have covered crucial decisions made during the pandemic, and I appreciate the diverse perspectives shared. Remember, these discussions are essential for understanding different viewpoints and finding common ground. This concludes our debate. Until next time, stay informed and engaged. Goodbye.